Okay, what if I told you that pretty much everything you believe about smoking, why it feels so impossible to quit, is actually based on a lie? A huge, carefully crafted lie designed by an industry to keep you feeling trapped. Well, today, we're going to pull back that curtain. We're going to talk about the smoker's secret.
If you've ever been a smoker or you've tried to quit, this question, it probably hits you right where you live. It feels like this giant uphill battle against some unbeatable force, doesn't it? But here's the thing. What if the enemy you think you're fighting isn't the real enemy at all?
See, on one side, you've got the story they've spent billions to sell you, that you're caught in the grips of this powerful chemical addiction. But the truth? The truth is actually a lot more subtle. And honestly, it's way more manageable. We're not talking about some unbeatable addiction. We're talking about a deeply ingrained, brilliantly engineered habit.
So how do we start to see through this whole illusion? Well, it begins when you start looking at your own smoking patterns, not as a sign of some weakness or addiction, but as proof of a stable, predictable routine that was literally designed for you.
I mean, think about it for a second. When was the last time you saw a smoker just frantically chain-smoking 30 cigarettes in an hour because they couldn't stop? Right. It almost never happens. But I bet this sounds familiar. That cigarette with your morning coffee? The one right after a meal? The one you grab without even thinking the second you get a stressful phone call? That doesn't really sound like an out-of-control addiction, does it? No, it sounds like a schedule.
And that right there, that is the absolute key distinction we have to make. Because real addiction, true addiction, it has a very specific signature, and it looks nothing like the daily routine of most smokers. One spirals, it escalates. The other one, it just finds a comfortable, predictable rhythm and stays there.
This chart just lays it out perfectly. Look at a true addiction, something like opioids or a gambling problem. The behavior gets worse and worse. It's uncontrolled. You constantly need a bigger dose to get the same effect. And your self-control, it just breaks down fast. Now, compare that to the smoking habit. The behavior is stable. For most people, it's about a pack a day, and it can stay that way for years. The dosage is consistent, it's totally integrated into daily life, it doesn't spiral, because it was never meant to.
And that stability? Oh, that was no accident. Not at all. It's actually the result of one of the most sophisticated and expensive behavioral research campaigns in corporate history. They weren't trying to make you lose control. They were trying to gain it by designing the absolute perfect delivery system for a daily habit.
The 20-cigarette pack is a masterpiece of cynical genius. I mean, it's the perfect number, isn't it? It's just enough to link a cigarette to every key moment of your day. Your coffee, your drive to work, your lunch break, your stressful moments, your relaxing moments, all of it. But it's not so many that it feels alarming or becomes too expensive. It is behavioral engineering at its absolute finest.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. This was always their core strategy. It was never just about the nicotine. Their real success wasn't in hijacking your body's chemistry. It was in hijacking your psychology. They spent decades making the cigarette feel absolutely essential to who you are and how you get through your day.
And they did it by selling an idea, not just a product. Take this. Back in the 1920s, it was a huge taboo for women to smoke in public. So they hired this PR guru, Edward Bernays. And he didn't sell cigarettes. No, he sold female liberation. He staged a protest during the Easter parade where all these fashionable women lit up what he cleverly called torches of freedom. And just like that, boom, smoking wasn't some dirty habit anymore. It was a symbol of independence. They sold you an identity, and the cigarette just came along for the ride.
So, how do we break this code? Well, the good news is, once you understand how the trap was built, you also get the blueprint for how to take it apart. And it all starts with understanding the truth about what you're really up against when you decide to quit.
Okay, here it is. This is the most important part. 72 hours. That's it. That is roughly how long it takes for all the nicotine, the actual chemical, to be out of your system. 3 days. All that fear you have about fighting some unbeatable chemical monster for the rest of your life, it's pretty much gone in the time it takes to get through a long weekend.
And that, of course, leads to the most important question of all. If the chemical enemy is gone, if it vacates the battlefield in just 3 days, then what is that long, lingering struggle really about? What are you actually fighting for all those weeks and months after you quit?
What you're fighting is this, the habit loop. It's a simple but incredibly powerful psychological pattern that they helped you build, and that you've reinforced thousands upon thousands of times. A trigger like that morning coffee prompts a behavior, lighting up,
which delivers a reward, that feeling of relief or completion. You've practiced it so many times it just feels automatic.
And this is how they keep you locked in, by pushing this "you can't quit" myth. Because hey, a customer who believes they're trapped is a customer for life, right? But the real work of quitting isn't some epic battle against your own biology. It's the much, much more manageable task of just breaking old associations and learning a new routine. You're not fighting some unbeatable force, you're just unlearning a very well-practiced habit.
So now, with this knowledge, all the power shifts back to you. The illusion is gone, you see the trick, and the choice is yours. Are you ready to stop rereading the chapter they wrote for you, and finally start writing the next one for yourself?
You know, it really all boils down to this one question. After everything we've just uncovered, you have to ask yourself, what are you really fighting here? Is it some powerful, unbeatable chemical enemy? Or is it just a familiar, well-practiced, and ultimately, a changeable routine?
The secret's out. You know how the whole trick works now. So the only question left is, what are you going to do about it? If you're ready to take back control for good and finally dismantle that old routine, visit IUsedToSmoke.com.